Hello guys, my name is Davis Wijaya from the blog experimini.wordpress.com. Now, welcome to the episode 2 of tips. Notice that I'm doing things a bit differently right now. You get to see my whole body instead of my hand or at most my head. Now, I do this because I believe that this way I speak clearer, and for me I think is important in video blog. If you don't like this setup, please comment on my blog and I will revert to my old way. Now normally I would do this at my study room, but right now it's currently occupied and prone to interruption, so I decided to do here. Now I'm going to do two things in this episode. First is complying to the request that some of you want me to practice or to show you App2SD really work. And secondly, on tips on how to make your phone last through the day. Okay, now going to the first things, App2SD. Now before we move on, you need to make sure there are two things, two conditions fulfilled before you want to execute App2SD. Besides the obvious things of your phone and your SD card, of course. First is that the apps that you want to move really support App2SD. Yes, even though App2SD is a feature in Froyo, which has been out for several months right now, there are some apps that don't support it. That actually is rare, but there's some cases that apps don't support it, and therefore, no matter how hard you try it will not move to SD. And secondly, make sure that you are on the latest baseband. The easiest way to do that is to plug in your phone, check using PC Companion, or fire up Sony Ericsson update service, which you can get from the Sony Ericsson website. I'll link it later in my blog. And update your phone. Once it's done, you are now on the latest baseband. Now, if you do this correctly and you install Froyo or Gingerbread from XDA, from the links from my blog, App2SD should work. Now there's the third thing is that, well, some people manage to go by without it, but some can't. The partition in your SD card. Now some things that App2SD require partitions, requires to partition your SD card in order to App2SD. But that's App2SD by hacking before 2.2. And right now 2.2 and 2.3 support native App2SD. To ensure that it is 100% working, delete your partition. You only need one partition in your SD card, and that is FAT32. I repeat, FAT32, which is the what most SD card come standard at. Okay, so right now I'm going to show you App2SD really work. Okay, now you have apps installed on this and you want to access the managed application. So you go to setting, go to application, manage applications, and you will see all it load up, and find the apps that you want to move. For example, let's see, hybrid stopwatch. Move to SD card is this option. I'm sorry, it is not clear in here. Here, let me show you. Okay. Move to SD card. Click on that, and it's moving. And right now it's already succeeded. And let's move back on SD card, and as you can see, hybrid stopwatch is on my SD card. Right, so that's it. App2SD really work. Now notice that if the app is really large, like 12 megabyte, it will sometimes take a minute to fully transfer it to SD card. It's fine, just wait. If you got an error message, say fail to move, try again. If you say again, Try again twice. If fourth time it failed, then the most probable cause is that the apps don't support App2SD. So now you have it. App2SD really work. Welcome to the second part of tips, ensuring that your battery life lasts for more than a day. Well, barely a day in some cases. Now before we go on tinkering this internal setting of our phone, there are actually 3 ways to ensure that you have extra battery life without even touching the setting of your phone. First is external charger. Now, if you really want to have external charger, for your phone's sake, don't be such a cheapsake. Because right now, if you buy cheap one, lithium cobalt one, usually it is lithium cobalt, it will ruin your battery or worse your phone, and you have to send it to Sony service center and wait for a month for it to be fixed. If you really want to buy it officially from the Sony Ericsson, or buy the bit more expensive one that's labeled based on Li-ion, which is actually the same cell that our phone use. And then the second thing is your charger. If you're going to the office or if you're going to work where you're going to spend most of your time there, bring your charger. Now whenever you have time, even though it's become only 50%, charge your phone. You never know when you will need it. And the most effective means is just to simply buy an extra battery. Now, the extra battery boosts your battery life, well, twice, depending on how you see it. Now, this is the most effective one, and I've been using this for 2 months right now, and it's been splendid in supplying me with enough energy or power. Now, this also I suggest don't be such a cheapsake. Don't buy knock-off battery. It won't last long. Just buy the official Sony Ericsson sanctioned battery. How do you know it is official? Well, the price for one, and secondly, the holographic label. Now, as per new battery, you put it in, charge it, drain it out to empty, charge it for 6 hours, and you're good to go. This, if you really are desperate or really want to have an extra battery life, do this one of these 3 things. Now let's go into tinkering on our phone. First thing you have to know is that the main drain of your battery life is your connectivity, especially when you're on 3G. Well, if you're on 3G and you're on idle mode, it's fine, your battery will last. But when you're on 3G doing something that don't need connectivity but it still connect, it will drain your battery fast. So what I learned to do is that in my Dropout power widget, which you can access in the Cyanogen mode setting, I set my power widget to always have these 2 things: data disable enable and 2G 3G toggle. The middle one is very important. If you don't use connectivity, just one for background, set it to 2G. You will get highest edge connection, and it's already enough for email or for background updating for your social feed, for your news feed or news RSS feed, or etc. It is enough. Even chatting is enough on edge. Now if you want to play games that don't need connectivity, disable data completely. I've set it in my notification bar so I could access it easy. And the plus side is that when some games you are playing or have ads, when you disable data, you will not see the ads. So that's a plus. Now the second thing is that since our phone now support overclocking, you can download these apps called Set CPU. What sets CPU is that it can actually have a feature called profile, which on when screen off, your clock speed will be between this and this. For example, in my screen off, my minimum overclock is 122, which is actually under 4, and when the maximum is 180, not 600, not 780, because I think that the background updating already enough in 480 is stable enough, and therefore it saves battery. And I also added the temperature sensor. When it exceeds 42 Celsius, it will actually underclock to 480. This will ensure that my phone won't overheat. Now, if you in music also, if you only listening to music, you can set the slider to 480 as well. Because 480 is enough if you are only listening to music and without multitasking, and it will boost your battery life tremendously. If not, then just set it to 748 megahertz, which is the most stable one so far. Now this all will prolong your battery life, but like I said before, there's nothing really substitute for an extra battery. So even though you took all this precaution, if you're a power user, it will drain faster. For example, I'm a power user. I use my phone once every few minutes, and it only for me, even with all this measure, it will last for 4 or 5 hours at most. That's why I need an extra battery. Now, if you are a light user, if you don't use your phone much, it will certainly last for a day. And that concludes the end of the episode of tips today. Stay tuned for episode 3 and subscribe to my blog for further update on custom ROMs and further tips further tips that's not done via video that I have uploaded to YouTube. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Android phone.